Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about self. The self. We're going to learn a lot about self in step 4, or I am. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen really, but as an alcoholic with alcoholism, I am selfish and self-centered in the extreme. I'm all I ever think about. So long as I have mine, I'm an incredibly generous person. I'll share with you once I have mine. I have all mine. I got mine. This is for you because I'm a generous and kind and loving person. But don't touch mine. I'm like that with French fries. If I order French fries, you better order your own French fries, because don't ask. I'll buy you your own order of French fries. I will do that for you, but do not come into my French fries. They're mine. I'm still like that. If we go out to dinner, don't mess with my French fries. We were talking during the break. My selfish self-centeredness, which is connected to that king, all of these things are all interwoven and connected. It's hard to really tear them apart and talk about self without talking about ego and alcoholism. But myself, I'm so selfish and self-centered that when I have a meeting that starts at noon, I will leave my house sometime between 5 minutes to noon and 10 after, no matter how far away that meeting is. And I learned this because I used to get into traffic and get very angry and violent thoughts, like I talked about before. And I'd get into traffic, so I would listen to these tapes of Bob Anderson talking over and over again about how to ask the power for help and praying in the moment. And I would pray, God, please help me with this traffic. Please help me with this traffic. The traffic is so bad in LA. Please, you got to help me with this traffic. And I prayed that prayer for like 2 years, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing, except for that I prayed a lot. And then one day I'm sitting in my car in the traffic, and something says to me, you know, if you left early, wouldn't be a problem. And I went, damn, I've been praying for the wrong thing the whole time. I couldn't see it. I'm constitutionally incapable of being honest with myself. I can't see that I'm so selfish and self-centered. I got to read one more email. I gotta look at one more thing on Facebook. I gotta do one more thing before I leave. And really, I think it's because I'm afraid that if I get there early, if I get anywhere early, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna be there with me, and I can't stand me. I'm just gonna stand there and find fault with everything and everyone, and it's gonna be maddening for however many minutes it's worth it to be late and apologize. I used to be late every time. I'd call my sponsor, please, can you meet with me? I met so much with my sponsor. It's always amazing to me that the guys I sponsor don't call me as often as, I met him every day, pretty much every day. For years and years and years, I spent at least a half an hour with my sponsor. Luckily, he couldn't work. He had like, I don't know, whatever it was, he couldn't work anymore. So he had all the time in the world for the king. And I went and I asked him questions, and I'd do stuff with him. And I was late every time. And he was always there when I got there. And I'd say, Ted, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm so sorry. He'd say, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. He never complained about me being late. He said, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. This is where God wanted me to be. And I went, wow, that's great. Okay. Cool, I'm off the hook. Well, you stay with God and I'll show up whenever I want. I didn't get it for years. I didn't think that he was talking about for me too. Maybe I could be right here right now, because this is where God wants me to be, right here, right now. I'm so selfish and self-centered and fearful, and I can't get anywhere early. And the problem isn't traffic, because the way I leave, if there's one car on the road, it's traffic. And I'm screwed. If I can leave a half hour early, there's no traffic in LA. None. I always get where I need to be right when I need to be there. If I go to the power and I say, what time should we leave? What time would be a good time to leave for this meeting? Well, why don't you leave now? You're not doing anything important. I'll leave now. I'll get there. I'll bring a book. I'll read a book. They show up when they show up. I get to be there. On time. You know, it says, what is the root of my trouble? What is my basic trouble? What is my basic problem? Aren't I really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? I have the delusion. that I'm going to come to Alcoholics Anonymous and I'm going to learn some stuff. I'm going to do these 12 steps, and when I do the 12 steps, I'm going to learn something, and now I'm going to be able to wrest satisfaction and happiness out of my life because I can manage well. I did the 12 steps. Now I can manage my life. And now I can use my mind to good purpose. Except for that my mind is warped, and it never gets better, and I can never ask me how I'm doing. I can never do it. Never, ever again. I do it, but it doesn't work because it's warped. They say a warped board, you know, if you're in construction and you find a warped board on the set, you just throw that board away because you can nail it however you want, it's going to pop back up warped. It's just garbage. And glass in hand, I warped my mind. All the drinking that I did, I might have been unsatisfied before I got alcoholism, but the drinking finished the job. All the drinking warped my mind, and it never gets unwarped. But I think I have the delusion. It's a lie. A delusion is a lie that I tell myself. Again, I'm constitutionally incapable of being honest with myself. And I have all these delusions that I can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if I only manage well. Who doesn't have that delusion? Who didn't come here thinking, I might learn some stuff, and then I'll be able to act better, and my life won't be so painful? Why else would you be here? That delusion is what brings me to Alcoholics Anonymous. I have the delusion that I'll go to the meeting and tonight I'll hear the thing that I need to hear. And that when I hear that thing, that then I'll know what's wrong with me and I'll be able to act better and everything will be great. The thing that's wrong with me is that I'm the wrong power for my life. That's it. It's that simple. And the 12 steps are a way of life where, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, the spirit in me is awakened. It's awakened. It's already there. You already know everything I'm saying. You already know it because you know why? Because you're a child of the same creator that I'm a child of. And that creator's inside of you. It's deep down within me is the great reality. Deep down within each man and woman is the great reality. You already know everything I'm saying. If you didn't, you'd have run out of here. You know the truth. The problem is that you got this ego and this alcoholism and this self all piled on top, and you can't hear the truth. But it's in you. So you got to have a spiritual awakening so you can reawaken that thing in you that works. So that you can be intuitively guided how to handle situations that used to baffle you. And that's what I need. I need that spirit awakened. That's the thing. I'm not going to wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world by managing better. I'm not going to. I once thought about all the things that I was unsatisfied about. I thought, man, I need money. I need money. If I had a financial planner, they told me if I had $7 million, I could live the way I'm living for the rest of my life. I'd never need another penny. $7 million. So I thought, wow, if I had $7 million in the bank, I could be, then what would happen? What would happen if I had $7 million in the bank? The only thing that would happen is that my mind, I'd still be living the same way I'm living now, but my mind would shut up about money. Because it's always on and on. Every time I write a check, I'm giving, that's my money. I'm never going to have that back. Those people are taking my money. Meanwhile, I lit my house with electricity the whole month, but I don't want to have to pay for it. The king shouldn't have to pay for electricity. It should flow freely like it says in the book. But I write the check and now I'm upset. And now all I can do is talk about money. Money, money, money. I need more money. Money is my thing. Some guys it's women, some guys it's power. I'm not a woman, so I don't know how women think, but I think that you have your things that you're obsessed with. Mine is money, but I think if I have enough money, then my mind will shut up about money. And if I have the perfect wife, if I just had the perfect wife, if she was perfect, if she had no flaws, perfect. If I could find that woman and I could marry her, then my mind would finally shut up about women. It would be quiet. I'd be at peace. And I went through everything like that, everything that I thought if I had the right house in the right neighborhood, on Broad Beach in Malibu, and it overlooked the ocean, it had its own sandy beach. Then if I had that, right, your mind, like my mind, would shut up about houses. We'd be done. That's it. The problem is that my house would look at the neighbor's house and then it would have another extra bedroom and then I'm screwed again. That's the problem. But if I had the perfect house, my mind would be at peace about houses. So the really, really, really what I want is to be at peace. And this program is a way of life where I can be at peace right now with nothing having to change. And when I get that peace, everything changes. My whole life changes. All the people change. Everything changes. The people that are annoying get better, and better people come in too. So I have the delusion that I can wrest happiness and satisfaction out of this world if I only manage well. I'm like the actor who wants to run the whole show. I'm forever, this is 60 to 63, by the way, and I recommend that you read it every morning. And not because you need to read it every morning, but because your mind will not let you read it every morning. Your mind will tell you every morning, if you're like me, I'll tell you about my mind, and I know this from some of the guys that I've sponsored. Every morning I get up and it says, no way. We are not reading 60 to 63. Are you an idiot? We know it by heart. I know it by heart. I think I could do it line for line by heart. But if I don't sit down and read it first thing in the morning, first thing, very first thing, if I open an email first, I'm done. First of all, I'll never read it if I open an email. If I check the stock market, if I look at a message, anything, before I read 60 to 63, I'm done. I'm going to have a day of alcoholism. But if I can open the book and I can ask a power greater than myself to help me read this again today, right now, with an open mind, and I can read through 60 to 63, there is a chance that I might have enough willingness to have a relationship with that power throughout the day today as a way of life. So we're talking a little bit about a way of life. And I don't get any free days. My disease never, ever, when I wake up in the morning, I've never woken up like this. Everything's great. This is going to be the best day ever. I have enough money in the bank. My wife is perfect. I love where I live. My 14-year-old daughter is fantastic. I love my life. Never happens. It never happens. I always have to go to the power first and say, God, I'm going to need some help. I have alcoholism. Could you help me? Could you help me read these? It's like one whole page and 2 half pages. So it's like nothing. And it is so incredibly hard to read it. My ego every day says, no way, every morning. And I read it in the eye. So if I read this, it says, being convinced we were at step 3. I have to change it to being convinced I'm at step 3. I don't know who we are. We is a story, and this is a storybook about we, which is you people. I'm not part of the we that has to do this. My ego says that I already know this and I'm better than you. It's just the way it is. We don't exist in my house. I have to do this as a way of life for my life. It's a we program. I'm not arguing with that. We do this together, but I got to do it for my life so that we can do it together. So being convinced I'm at step 3, which is that I decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. Just what do I mean by that, and just what do I do? And then it goes back to the beginning. It goes right back to the beginning. I'm not at step 3 anymore. I'm right back at the first requirement. The very first requirement is that I can be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. And this whole conversation tonight has been about, is self-will the right thing for me? If it is, God bless you. I love you. I hope you have the best self-will life you ever had. I hope it works for you. I hope you don't have what I have. I hope you don't. But I have to be convinced today that any life run on, my life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, I am almost always in collision with something or somebody, even when my motives are good. Isn't that a kicker? How do you get around that? But I was doing good. Why did it turn out so terrible? I meant good. But really, like I said before, if I help you out as an alcoholic with alcoholism, the price is 3 times what I'm going to do for anything I'm going to do for you. So I'm like the actor who wants to run the whole show, and then sometimes Sometimes I may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. Sometimes I have these unbelievably great qualities, and I think that they're from God. Because I'm being kind. Really, I know deep down inside I'm not capable of being kind. So it must be God here. But it's not. It's self and ego saying, okay, let's try kind. Maybe kind will work to get what we want. Maybe self-sacrificing will work to get what I want. I'll just, you can have the couch. Or you can have my bed. I'll sleep over here. You have the bed. And then, but in the morning, you better make breakfast. You better wash my car, and I got a couple other chores for you. And then on the other hand, if you don't do what I want, then I might be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But all of it is to get what I want. It's to have the show work out the way I want. And usually the show doesn't come off very well, and I begin to think life doesn't treat me right. And I've thought that my whole life. Life doesn't treat me right. I'm this great guy. I thought that when I was getting sober, newly sober, I thought, man, this is great. I'm going to hook up with this power. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to be this kind and patient and generous and modest and self-sacrificing. The guy I am, deep down inside, that's who I am. And nobody ever got me. And maybe now, with Alcoholics Anonymous, maybe I'll be that guy and people will finally get me. And I'll have friends. And they'll like me. And it doesn't happen. Because I used to think that circumstances led me to lie and cheat and steal. You know, I needed a drink. I needed some money. I needed to get you off my back. So I lied. But I'm not a liar. You just pushed me into a corner and I had to lie. That's why I lied. I'm not a liar. I'm an honest person. If you only knew how honest I am, you would really like me. The only reason I'm lying is because you forced me to do it. You made me lie. The only reason I stole is because you made me steal. I am not a stealer. I don't enjoy stealing. I only do it when I have to. But I noticed that drunk or sober, you still make me lie, cheat, and steal. It's who I am. It's the character. I'm entitled. I'm entitled to steal that because my mind said so, because I'm the king. And I should be better off than I am. And if you knew who I was, you'd give it to me anyway. And that's how my mind rationalizes everything. When it doesn't work, on the next occasion I become still more demanding or gracious, as the case may be, but the place still doesn't suit me. Admitting I may be somewhat at fault, I'm sure that you're more to blame. You are. Because I'm a great guy. That's self. That's the self. I can't even see it. I don't even know I do it. But that's why I blame you for everything, and I blame everybody. Because if you knew who I was really, you'd just promote me to CEO. Well, why are we starting in the mailroom? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So I find fault with the CEO when I'm working in the mailroom, and I figure out how he could run his business better. And if I'm really good, I go and tell him. And then I start over again. So selfishness, self-centeredness, that I think is the root of my troubles. If I'm willing to look at this thing. That's the root of my troubles. It's not alcohol. It's selfishness and self-centeredness. And it's driven by 100 forms of fear. I know you can read this. But this is where the self is. Fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. Anything that starts with self is going down a slippery slope. Even self-confidence. It says that in the first step. Self-confidence. I thought I'd learn self-confidence in AA, but I don't learn self-confidence. I learned that self is no use whatsoever, especially in not drinking. If self could stop me from drinking, I wouldn't be drinking. I wouldn't have to go to AA meetings. I'd just stop drinking. So I hurt people, right? Seemingly without provocation. Because to me, why would they be hurt? It's just me. It's just me. I just had to do that because it's me. You should be okay with it because it's me. And then they retaliate, and I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? I'm such a great guy. How did that happen to me? Why do bad things always happen to such a nice guy? So this paragraph, I'm going to read this whole paragraph because this is the beginning of the new character. So my troubles, I think, are basically of my own making. They're my own. They arise out of myself. I'm on page 62 if you want to follow along. They arise out of myself, and I'm an extreme example of self-will run riot, though I usually don't think so. How did Bill write this with 2.5 years of sobriety? There must have been something else going on here. Above everything, I must be rid of this selfishness. I must, or it kills me. That's dead. It kills me. It doesn't get me to drink again, because for me to drink is to die. But it kills me. It killed Robin Williams. It killed
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
who?
Philip Seymour.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. It killed the singer, the woman.
Whitney Houston.
Well, it killed Whitney. I mean, we could go on, right? It killed Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was the king. He had everything. He had everything. If you think you're going to get enough stuff to be okay, let me just tell you, Elvis Presley had the looks, he had the moves, he had the voice. He covered TV, he covered film. He had houses everywhere. He had his own private jets. He had guns. He had monkeys. He had everything. You know what happened to him? I heard that he wanted to be in a movie that Chris Christopherson did with Barbara Walters, A Star Is Born. Barbara Streisand. He wanted to do that movie, and the general said, no, it wouldn't be good for you. And he would have gotten the Oscar for that instead of Chris Christopherson. And that's what he wanted, and that killed him. Can you imagine that? He had everything. And one little thing, and that unsatisfied mind gets a hold of that and says, oh no, you can't live with yourself. Doesn't matter how much you've done, you can't live with yourself. You have to die. And he listened to his mind, and it killed him, dead. It's amazing, right? The disease tells me that this isn't right, and you should kill yourself, and you go in the bedroom and you take out your pistol and you blow your own head off. That's how powerful the disease is. That's what's going on. That's why I'm here today. I don't want to blow my brains out. Sober, lots of years. I know people with 28 years of sobriety. Boom, blew their head out. Tied a belt around their neck and killed themselves with years. It doesn't go away. But in this moment, right here, right now, I can have a relationship with the power. So every time I take you down that dark slope, down to that pitiful and immoral, incomprehensible demoralization, there is a way out. There is a program of recovery. 12 steps, which if practiced as a way of life, can expel the obsession to drink and enable me to become happily and usefully whole. And that's it. This is not a self-help program. You're not going to learn this. You can take notes. You can write it all down. It doesn't matter. Your notes aren't going to help you, because when you open the door and your partner says to you, hi, and they don't have the right look on your face, and you think, why is she saying that to me? What are you going to do? Look at your notes? Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, you need to go at 9:30? Oh, we didn't make it to step one. All right, I'm just going to finish this paragraph. It kills me. God makes that possible. I must be rid of self or it kills me. God makes that possible, and there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without His aid, its aid, the power's aid. It says many of us, but I say I have had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but I cannot live up to them. I cannot do it, even though I would have liked to. Neither could I reduce my self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on my own power. I have to have God's help. That's a have to. I have to have God's help. That's the only way out. You don't have to call it God. I don't even like the word God. When I say God, if I say it too many times, I start thinking of a guy in a chair with thunderbolts. And he's going to kill me eventually when he figures out what I've done, no matter where I am now. And it scares me. And I have a lot of prejudices against religion and organized religion and all that. I'm just gonna tell us one last story, real quick. My wife that I'm married to now, for 15 years, by the way, which is impossible in LA. That's just like a world record. She was in the Agape choir when I met her. She sang with the Agape Church choir. And I've been to church like 5 times. I walk through them in Italy and marvel at the beauty and think of all the tortures that went on. That's kind of how I go to church. But she was in the choir and she asked me to go and hear her. We were newly getting together, so I was willing to go to any length. So I went to the choir, and Reverend Michael Beckwith, who's an awesome guy. I've been many times since, but he was talking and he talked and it was blah, 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 blah. And then he said something, and I don't know why, but I heard it. And he said, you know what the most commonly used name for God is? And the congregation is very outspoken, and people were shouting out, it's Jesus, it's Buddha, it's Muhammad, it's Allah, it's this, that's Moses. They shouted out all the names. And he said, no, it's not Buddha, it's not Jesus, it's not Muhammad, it's not Allah. He said, the most commonly used name for God is something. Something told me I shouldn't have done that. Something told me to go get her phone number. Something told me to sit over here. Something. And so if you don't like the word God, and you don't like the word higher power, just ask something for help. Something, could you help me? It's that simple. But if you don't have a relationship with something, then you have a relationship with yourself. And if you have a relationship with yourself, you earn a seat in this room. And that's how we get here, by self. So I guess we didn't make it to step 1. Do we have to be out of the room?